Hello, you're on VITV channel with Into Vietnam News, broadcast on a daily basis in the headlines. Experts believe circular number 2 will benefit both banks and businesses. Real estate industry will attract foreign cash this year, and trade surplus hits a record high of $1.44 billion in January. Statistics from the State Bank of Vietnam showed by the end of 2013, the bad debt ratio of the banking system was only 3.79%. This is the lowest ratio in the past 2 years, since February 2012 at 3.66%. Also, according to the data from the central bank, after 2 years of consecutive rise and maintaining at over 4%, even up to nearly 5% in September 2012, for the first time, the bad debts recorded such a sharp fall, and it dropped to below 4%. In 2013, the highest bad debt ratio was recorded at 4.73% in October, which means that the bad debt ratio may fall nearly 1 percentage point just after several months. If the above fall continues to maintain, the bad debt ratio would soon fall to below 3%, the acceptable threshold according to the Vietnam auditing standards. The government circular number 2 on bad debt classification and setting up provisions for risk in local credit institutions will come into effect in no more than 4 months. However, the document is set to be adjusted to the current economic conditions. Economic experts believe the application of circular number 2 will benefit both banks and businesses. Responding to many banks' inquiry to extend the deadline of applying Circular 02, the State Bank Governor Nguyễn Văn Bình says Vietnam cannot maintain situational regulations, but instead should upgrade to international standards for its long-run profits. After a long time of delay, Circular on debt classification and risk provisions for credit institutions will take effect on June 1st, 2014 for all banks in the system.
How big are they and what can be done about them? We'd like to see more transparency in the system so that people can tell the real situation of how healthy these banks are. We'd also like to see additional steps.
As the circular comes to life, actual bad debt volume will be reviewed, and the biggest problem in the economy will be in the spotlight. The application of Circular 02 may create more challenges for firms in assessing bank loans.
Nghĩ rằng cái thông tư 02 là cần thiết. Tuy nhiên, nó cũng sẽ có những cái tác dụng cho các doanh nghiệp khi mà thông tư 02 đi vào cuộc sống, thì nó sẽ làm cái bức tranh nợ xấu trở nên minh bạch rõ ràng hơn, và nếu mà một công ty nào đó rơi vào trong tình trạng nợ xấu thì thật sự ra công ty đó rất khó có thể vay vốn được của ngân hàng.
Many experts share the same views at recent economic forums. They are worried that local banks and businesses are not ready to shoulder the impacts of the new regulation.
Là nó cũng để mà tránh coi như là nó gây có thể gọi là mức độ biến động quá lớn, cũng như là có thể nó gây ảnh hưởng tiêu cực đến cái việc là cung cấp tín dụng cho nền kinh tế khi mà nợ xấu nó bị tăng lên, thì tôi nghĩ rằng là ngân hàng nước cũng có thể tiếp tục có một cái lộ trình nho nhỏ hơn, có nghĩa là trong cái thông tư 02 đấy thì có thể có một số những cái điều kiện điều khoản chúng ta sẽ có cái lộ trình khác đi một chút so với cái quyết định ban đầu, để một mặt thì vẫn thể hiện nhất quán ngân hàng nhà nước là quyết tâm áp dụng, mặt thứ hai là cũng có lộ trình để cũng tháo gỡ khó khăn cho ngân hàng, cho doanh nghiệp, và đặc biệt trong bối cảnh hiện nay khi chúng ta đang muốn khôi phục cái niềm tin, khôi phục cái tăng trưởng kinh tế.
The VCBS says Circular 02 will be adjusted as directed by the State Bank Governor Nguyễn Văn Bình. Accordingly, the deadline to classify debts in banks and setting up provisions for risk will be changed to suit the current economic situations and internal regulation in banks. This will be a good chance for them to restructure their loans and recover business operations in 2014. The Ministry of Finance will cooperate with relevant bodies to carefully manage domestic milk prices after one milk trader raised its retail price, and with other traders expected to follow suit. The ministry confirmed Mead Johnson Nutrition began 2014 by raising the prices of 9 of its 35 milk products due to a 12.6 to 12.8% surge in import costs last August. However, it has yet to give the green light to the proposed price hike. Instead, it has asked the company for more detailed explanation of its motivating reasons. Existing regulations stipulate all 6 Vietnamese dairy traders must register any retail price changes for the Ministry of Finance official approval. While milk products typically rise at the start of the year, the Price Management Department will follow development closely and work to protect market stability. The Finance and Banking Department under the Ministry of Finance forecasts there will be 30 to 35 trillion dong corporate bonds issued to the market in 2014. However, the actual figure will depend on capital needs of businesses and their ability to raise capital through other channels, including shares and bank credit. The Finance and Banking Department says, based on macroeconomic balance, it's expected that there will be 210 trillion dong government bonds, 51 trillion dong government-backed bonds, and 10 to 12 trillion dong municipal bonds to be issued in the year. Commenting on corporate bond markets, leader of the department says the positive sign is this channel begins to grow again. However, the downside is there are almost no transaction for corporate bonds, and if any, there is no published information to the basis for the market valuation. Vietnam's real estate industry is expected to attract more foreign investors, even though the domestic economy is forecast to still face challenges this year.
Last year, foreign direct investment or FDI rose 54% year-on-year to $21.6 billion, of which $1 billion was from 25 real estate industry projects. In January this year, the domestic property market continued its trend of attracting foreign investors and experienced a second-largest FDI of $176 million, which accounted for 45% of the total flow of FDI to the country. The nation expects to benefit from many projects worth billions of US dollars in 2014 because at the end of last year, many large international groups said they will invest in Vietnam's property market. For instance, the U.S. Rose Rock Group, which specializes in management, investments, and development of luxury properties, have signed a memorandum of understanding to have built a tourist resort complex in Vũng Rô Gulf with potential capital of $2.5 billion. In addition, economists stated that Vietnam can benefit from foreign investors who are moving away from China. Moreover, part of remittances every year could be put into property projects this year. According to a State Bank of Vietnam report, overseas remittances last year reached $11 billion, a marginal increase from 2012.
During the 2011-2013 period, Ho Chi Minh City placed particular emphasis on the service industry and agriculture sectors, with the services industry seeing the fastest rate of growth. Despite challenges from the national economy, the service sector retained a growth rate of 11% per year, with turnover from the sector representing over 58% of total GDP growth. Trade accounted for 22.1% of growth in the service sector, with a growth rate of 12.3% per year. Of that amount, export gained $84.4 billion, or 8% growth annually, the same growth rate of the previous 4-year period between 2006 and 2010, which was 8.1%. Vietnam's trade surplus in the first months of this year hit a record high of $1.44 billion. The figure includes $1.41 billion from the foreign direct investment sector and $31 million from the domestic one. The General Department of Vietnam Customs has reported the country trade value in January reached $21.48 billion, 9.9% less than previous month and 3% lower than the level recorded in the last year's same period, of which export reached $11.46 billion, down 1.5% and 0.8% respectively, while imports were $10.02 billion, down 17.8% and 5.5%. Goods that contributed to trade surplus include crude oil, coal garment, footwear, wood and timber products, seafood, rice, electricity, telephone handsets, and components. And coming up next is some other foreign trade news.
Two-way trade between Vietnam and the U.S. touched nearly $30 billion in 2013, 130 times higher than the figure in 1994, when U.S. former President Bill Clinton decided to lift the trade embargo against Vietnam. So far, Vietnam is the 29th largest trade partner of the U.S. The trade ties picked up around 20% yearly. U.S. exporters ship approximately 1,800 containers of products to Vietnam every year. In 2013, a group of Vietnamese companies signed contracts to purchase U.S. wind turbines worth $2.6 billion, creating tens of thousands of jobs for the U.S. manufacturing. U.S. investment in Vietnam reached $11 billion last year, placing the country the seventh on the list of the Southeast Asian nations' foreign investors. According to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, or VASEP, Vietnam raked in $124.8 million from shellfish exports to members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 2013, representing a year-on-year increase of 13%. Singapore tops the list of Vietnamese shellfish importers with $36.7 million during the period, up 2.4% against 2012. It was followed by Thailand with $34.2 million, a yearly increase of 63.3%. Vietnam is home to 236 shellfish exporters with 94 oil processing factories that account for 90% of the total shellfish export volume. In total, the fish have been exported to 149 countries worldwide.
Last but not least is today's update on local gold prices, forex, and securities markets. Well, that's all for this edition of Into Vietnam. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon, this time tomorrow. Goodbye for now.